Hey friends, so it was always my intention to eventually release this slightly shortened, more straight-to-the-point version of the Hopalong Cassidy video, basically jumping over a lot of the wider historical context of the film industry, popular culture, and the Western genre bookends, and focusing exclusively on the Hoppy movies and the background of actor William Boyd, after a few months and a few more episodes in between, but it so happens that June the 5th is William Boyd's birthday, and it felt like a much more appropriate time to do it, so yeah, that's what we're doing. The original full-length episode is, of course, still on the channel. Please enjoy. How much did you like the best job you ever had? Not your favorite hobby, the best thing you ever did for work. Did you ever have a job that you were excited to wake up and go to, that you missed when it wasn't your job anymore? If you could, would you spend money of your own to have that be your job again? Would you move heaven and earth to will that job into sticking around, even if it was obsolete and the world was telling you it wasn't meant to stay around, so you could keep doing that job because you found something that finally felt right, and you knew it's what you were supposed to do?
What the would the great Randall Graves do if he were half the master of his destiny that I'm supposed to be?
I'd buy the quick stop and reopen it myself.
Look, I think I got the answer.
Hopalong Cassidy originates as one of the main characters in a series of Western novels by the writer Clarence E. Mulford, who is an interesting character in his own right, but this is not a show about books and we've already taken too long, so look him up. As depicted in the novels, William Bill Cassidy is a dangerous, tough-as-nails, rude-talking, hard-fighting type of cowboy who gets his nickname from a leg injury that causes him to walk with a slight hop in his step. The books, published between 1906 and 1946, were well-known and widely sold. The character and his catchy name were popular. As we've already established, Westerns were a big damn deal in all levels of entertainment and movies especially, so in 1935, Hopalong Cassidy becomes a movie. Technically, it becomes 3 movies because they knew they had a good thing and they weren't going to screw around about it. Hopalong Cassidy, The Eagle's Brood, and Bar 20 Rides Again. And for these 3 adaptations, the filmmakers opted to keep the character name, the fact that Cassidy was a cowboy who at one point in the first movie gets shot in his leg, and basically not a thing else. Because, you know, serialized B-westerns based on what were effectively thought of as higher-end pop fiction, so they were mostly just paying for the brand, but also, one is given to suspect, they'd cast a star who had very little in common with the book's conception of Cassidy, but who they immediately understood they didn't want to change much about. William Boyd had been an orange picker and a mechanic before work as an extra got him noticed by Cecil B. DeMille, and cast in both supporting main and leading man roles in some of the biggest hits of the silent era: Road to Yesterday, The Volga Boatman, Skyscraper, and Lady of the Pavements. Give you an idea how different movies were in the silent era. In at least 2 of those, he plays a heroic communist revolutionary. He was a huge breakout star and the toast of Hollywood in the late 20s, but in 1931 his career was destroyed by someone else's mistake. A completely different actor, also named Billy Boyd, had gotten arrested for liquor and gambling charges. This was still Prohibition, so that was bad. And a newspaper ran William Boyd's photo in its coverage, and back then, that was enough. He was done. Even though the papers apologized and printed a retraction, too many people had seen it and made the erroneous connection.
What the f***?
He spent several years being unable to be hired without using an assumed name. Just completely destroyed his career. He went from being like Tom Cruise of the 20s to being Kevin Spacey of the 20s, basically overnight.
Anybody got a rope? I'll string him up.
4 years later, having gotten by acting under other names and taking what work he could, Boyd, then 40 years old, auditioned for a supporting role in Hopalong Cassidy, but asked for a shot at playing the lead, Hoppy himself. He was no cowboy. By his own admission, Boyd was no horseman, he'd never branded a cow or bulldogged a steer, he didn't care for country music, but the filmmakers liked what they saw in his audition, and whether they were always planning to or by some other degree, ended up building a very different conception of Bill Cassidy from the book around Boyd's very distinctive former silent screen matinee idol persona.
How do you feel?
Oh, little limpy, but just as spry as ever.
Oh, it's all my doing, Bill. If I'd had any sense, I'd have...
Oh, forget it, kid, forget it. I can hop along with the best of them.
So whereas Hoppy in the books was a redhead, which wouldn't really have made much of a difference in black and white, but still, Boyd wasn't just blonde, but white-haired and didn't dye it, so Hoppy is an early-onset silver fox and seemingly sunproof in his clean-shaven complexion. It makes him stand out from the other more realistically scruffy characters around him, especially since he almost always wears all black or at least dark clothes, especially his hat, even though he's a good guy in a 30s Western. Everyone else's guns are usually gray or black, Hoppy's are shiny and silver, so is most of his gear. I mean, just watch how they introduce this guy in the first movie. Before he even shows up, he's the main thing everyone is talking about before we know who he is, who anyone else is, or even what's going on here.
It was me that first shoved a gun in Bill Cassidy's hand.
If you're spouting off about Bill Cassidy again, you can save your breath. Cassidy. That's all I've been hearing about around the Bar 20 since you heard he was heading up this way from Texas. You folks act like he was all the aces in the deck.
What you so head up about, kid? Afraid Bill Cassidy will steal your thunder when you meet up with him?
I can take care of myself.
Like nothing has been said or happened yet, and they're already setting us up for Cassidy. Who's Cassidy? Oh, Bill Cassidy? Oh, well, he just happens to be Earth's greatest living human, that's all. Oh, you guys talking about Cassidy? Yeah, I know Cassidy. That guy rules. And then he finally shows up like this.
You better start walking home, Mr. Bar 20. I'll see you on your way.
You ain't giving me no orders. Up high. Thanks, stranger.
What's the play?
Have no fear, students. I am here.
Shoots the gun out of that guy's hand from up on a mountain, meaning he's already sized up the whole situation from all the way away, don't know how. Rides down on his white horse because symbolism, right into his first hero shot like, hey, it's me, that guy everyone's been talking about.
I don't like to see human beings getting tramped by a horse. It upsets my peace of mind. Pardon me, miss. Which side are you on?
It's just a misunderstanding.
I wouldn't be hasty. Put it away. And in case you want to take this up later, you'll find me at the Bar 20. Cassidy's the name.
And Boyd is really good in this part. His work as a younger man in the silent era for DeMille suggested a very different sort of actor and career trajectory. It's definitely unfortunate that we can't know what might have been if things hadn't been derailed for him, but it's undisputable that he figured out something to do with an admittedly basic characterization as Cassidy. He basically has two expressive modes: dead serious, I'm gonna straight up kill you face, and aw, you're alright, let's go get a snow cone happy buddy face. But what's really interesting is, especially early on, watch how he comes off like a younger, more intense, spry, ready for action dude when he's in his killer going for his gun mode, and it's when Hoppy smiles at people that his face relaxes and he turns into basically somebody's friendly dad. Boyish in battle, a middle-aged man at rest is an unusual mode to go for, and there isn't really anything in the text to definitively say that's what they were going for, but it's what he's doing.
Say, there ain't no call for you spouting off about what you done for me. I thanked you, didn't I?
Young fella, somebody needs to teach you some manners.
$2,000 for the man that kills Cassidy.
Deal the card.
Hey, boys! Gather round. It's gonna be the biggest poker game that's...
Go right ahead. Don't let me spoil your fun. Rest of you get on the other side. Come on. I wouldn't touch that pot, Hammond. You placed your bet.
Everything else about him looks like he's from somewhere else, and whether they put this much thought into the actual conception of it, when you watch enough of these back-to-back to overall effect, it really starts to feel deliberate and a little bit meta. This bigger-than-life mythic figure among the mortals, the ideal perfect cowboy hero riding in from offstage to set things right among imperfect real-world guys who can only hope to measure up to him, which is pretty much the role he plays in the first movie even before he shows up, and then continues to inhabit for, yes really, 66 movies after that. The first movie sets the tone that most of the others will follow, with the, oh, he also gets shot in the leg at one point so we can give him his nickname, being the mildest point of continuity.
Let me help you.
Oh, I can hop along by myself. Oh, Hopalong Cassidy, that's me.
You're a better man with one leg than the whole outfit put together.
Red took the words right out of my mouth.
He said it! He said it!
There's a territory dispute between two cattle companies fixing to turn into a range war. Cassidy figures out that it's actually a conspiracy by a third party of rustlers to stir up trouble and steal cows amid the distraction, so he has to prove it and get everyone together for a big shootout at the end, after which Hoppy and his friends ride off to seek new adventures.
That's what it says in the book. Whatever measure you give out, that same measure shall be given out to you.
There's a young hothead who gets under his skin but becomes a loyal sidekick and handles the romantic entanglement subplot, the elderly mentor character who dies to be avenged that I think might have made an impression on either a young Stan Lee or Steve Ditko.
Cassidy.
Wait a minute. Listen.
I didn't hear nothing.
I could have swore I heard Uncle Ben call my name. You didn't have a chance, did you, old-timer?
And that formula stretches out across a lot of the series. Actor Gabby Hayes even comes back as a different old man character before establishing himself as a series regular, and then setting out on his own and actually becoming one of the genre's best-loved stars in his own right, co-starring with other Western legends and even getting his own TV show later in life.
That millhouse is going to be big. Gabby Hayes big.
The basic setup changes from movie to movie as the formula gradually takes shape, but the key beats are established pretty early on. Sometimes Hoppy finds the problem in need of solving, other times the problem finds Hoppy. He goes on rescue missions, intercedes in disputes, takes jobs, gets called away from jobs, works with good lawmen or against corrupt lawmen, defends the weak, punishes the guilty, women swoon for him, but he doesn't have time for love. As mentioned, it's the younger sidekicks who get into girl trouble. He also never drinks alcohol, only sarsaparilla. It's kind of a whole thing.
I said I don't drink.
If Miss Bell says you're drinking, you're drinking.
Here's how.
James Ellison, Russell Hayden, Jay Kirby, Rand Brooks, Jimmy Rogers, and a young George Reeves, the future Superman, all played the various young sidekick roles at different points. Robert Mitchum actually turned up in 7 of the Hoppy movies, playing different characters. Victor Jory played a bad guy 7 times. And following Gabby Hayes' departure, Scottish-born comedy legend Andy Clyde eventually became Cassidy's longest-serving wingman, California Carson.
Come out of there with your hands up.
The original 42 Hopalong Cassidy movies were produced at Paramount by Harry Sherman between 1935 and 1941. The original Hopalong Cassidy, frequently retitled for clarity as Hopalong Cassidy Enters, The Eagle's Brood, Bar 20 Rides Again, Call of the Prairie, The Three on the Trail, Heart of the West, Hopalong Cassidy Returns, Trail Dust, Borderland, Hills of Old Wyoming, North of the Rio Grande, Rustler's Valley, Hopalong Rides Again, Texas Trail, Partners of the Plains, Cassidy of Bar 20, Heart of Arizona, Bar 20 Justice, Pride of the West, In Old Mexico, The Frontiersman, Sunset Trail, Silver on the Sage, Renegade Trail, Range War, Law of the Pampas, Santa Fe Marshal, The Showdown, Hidden Gold, Stagecoach War, Three Men from Texas, Doomed Caravan, In Old Colorado, Border Vigilantes, Pirates on Horseback, Wide Open Down, Riders of the Timberline, Stick to Your Guns, Twilight on the Trail, Outlaws of the Desert, and Secrets of the Wasteland.
Head west.
What are you aiming to do?
Shoot the next man that opens his mouth.
Why, if you think...
Aren't those titles great? It kind of sounds like they're throwing darts at a bunch of different cowboy words on a wall, but don't you want to find out what Pirates on Horseback is about? It's not actually about pirates, it's probably about rustlers or gold smugglers or gold rustlers or some mixture of those or stagecoach robbers or something. But it's probably pretty good. There's bad guys on horses in some degree or another, and then this cool guy's going to show up and shoot them, and that's the end of the movie. And it probably only cost you a nickel to watch it in the 40s, and then you went home and ate, probably something boiled, but the movie was good, and it was probably good enough.
It was a simpler time. It was a better time.
Anyway, Sherman would then move the franchise to United Artists, where he, Boyd, and other returning cast and crew would continue the series for another 13 installments, some of which were full or partial remakes of the previous ones. Lost Canyon, Undercover Man, Hoppy Serves a Writ, Border Patrol, Leather Burners, Colt Comrades, Bar 20, False Colors, Riders of the Deadline, Texas Masquerade, Lumberjack, Mystery Man, and 40 Thieves. Alright, look, I'm not going to go over every single one of these in detail. The point is that there were a lot of them. They're all kind of similar, follow a reliable formula. No, I have not watched all of them, but when you watch enough of them, especially in conjunction with other B-Westerns of the time, what jumps out is, yeah, these were better.
Don't you start anything unless you can back it up.
I'm backing him up, Mr. Marshall.
Here they go. Any sign of another trail to the top? No, the opposite sides of the rock cliff, straight up 100 feet.
I was sure that was the only way up.
Shall we rush them? No, then pick us off one at a time. Tell the boys to concentrate their fire at the top of the trail. Right.
He jumped off the cliff. He never came to the surface after he hit the water.
Oh, that's awful.
Well, that'll save the county the price of a trial and a new rope. I won't forget that, Cassidy.
I don't want you to forget it.
It makes sense that people liked these, that the Hoppies were considered the top tier of the genre, and that even theaters that generally didn't book Western features would book these ones. They've got good cinematography, they move well, the whole there's something amiss, Hoppies guys are involved, it's more messy than it seems, and then the best cowboy ever has to show up and knock some sense into everyone to put it right formula just works so well. You can just see why modern Pulp Fiction heroes like Jack Reacher still use this exact same basic one inflexible badass shows up and makes everybody stand up and act the hell right wish fulfillment structure.
That minivan to my left, that yours?
Yes.
Just for clarity, you've been carjacked, right?
My child is in the back seat.
Gun? Stay here. This won't take long.
Your mom better hurry the fuck up, kid, or this is gonna go bad for both of you.
Hi. Want to see your mom?
It's the rare old thing that used to be insanely popular where you can watch it for just a few minutes and immediately understand, oh, okay, I understand why everyone liked this. But if the audiences and theater owners and filmmakers liked Hopalong Cassidy, there was someone else who loved Hopalong Cassidy. And that was Hopalong Cassidy himself, William Boyd.
Uncle Bear! Bill Cassidy!
Now I know I'm home.
Take every story or stereotype you've heard about actors getting trapped or typecast in a particular part, and there are a lot of them, plenty of dark ones. George Reeves literally dying in the shadow of Superman, having actually played one of Hoppy's young sidekicks, that's not a happy coincidence. Adam West having difficulty getting out from under Batman, the dozens of stars who never quite got out from under Star Trek or Star Wars. We don't need to do the whole list, but take those archetypes, flip them upside down, and you'd have William Boyd and Hoppy. Remember, Boyd had landed this second chance at stardom after having his first break literally snatched out from under him by cruel fate and the carelessness of the media and the rest of Hollywood, so he clearly knew better than to let this get away from him twice, and whether solely by that good sense, genuine love for this role, or a bit of both, he became committed to being Hopalong Cassidy no matter what.
I got a feeling something is about to happen.
You have? Good.
So in 1944, when series producer Harry Sherman decided he wanted to get out of the B-Western game and do just different stuff, Boyd took over as the main producer, forming a new company of his own, Hopalong Cassidy Productions, to independently produce and distribute the final 12 theatrical movies in the series himself from 1946 to 1948. That would be The Devil's Playground, Fool's Gold, Unexpected Guest, Dangerous Venture, The Marauders, Hoppy's Holiday, Silent Conflict, The Dead Don't Dream. Again, another great title. I don't even think I've seen that one, but I want to. Don't you want to see a cowboy movie called The Dead Don't Dream and just find out what that's about? Sinister Journey, Borrowed Trouble, False Paradise, and Strange Gamble. They had significantly lower budgets and aren't generally thought of as the best of the franchise, but he did that. And it turns out he was just getting started.
All right, go on home. Me, I'm staying till the party's over.
See, by 1948, it didn't really matter how cheap you could shoot a B-Western for. Even independent studios didn't want to produce them, and drive-in multi-bills didn't want to book them. Authentic B-pictures had largely disappeared from legitimate theater booking, replaced by low-budget movies that were still expensive-looking or marketable enough to play on their own, often in flashier genres than the Western, a genre which ironically was now seen as being favored for more big, costly, lavish epics with recognizable stars marketed to adults, whereas lower-budget fare aimed at youth market was increasingly, well, the Martians were coming, was the general and eventually true assumption for drive-ins and matinees. There was room for the cowboy, but not the old-timey black-and-white two-gun do-gooder cowboy like Hopalong Cassidy. but William Boyd was not convinced that the role he'd now devoted more than a decade of his life to was a thing of the past. Instead, he thought he'd seen the future in a new technology that the rest of Hollywood thought was at best a fad and at worst the end of the world: television. At the end of World War II, only a few thousand of America's richest individuals owned a TV set. By 1946, when William Boyd was releasing his first self-produced Hoppy movie, only 7,000 TVs had been sold in the entire country. By 1948, that number was around 350,000. By 1952, 15.3 million. Television stations needed programming to fill their airwaves and satisfy their audience. Locally produced programs, news, sports, music performances, etc. were all well and good, but everyone understood that being able to deliver something like the movies but at home was the holy grail of drawing power. The problem? Giving away what their entire business model had always been built around selling ticketed access to was anathema to Hollywood on a profound level, and most of the industry either balked at it completely or moved to restrict the practice of televised broadcast entirely. Even as, hey, let's find a way to show classic movies is obviously the first idea literally every TV station had. But not everybody with a bunch of movies under their ownership felt the way the studios did. William Boyd, for one, had a feeling that not only was the whole damn world wrong about there being no interest, no audience, no room left in the culture for the old school classic cowboy he'd become indelibly bound to, but this magic box the rest of Hollywood was resistant to might be the key to proving him right. So he opted to, I kid you not, sell off basically everything he had at the time, including his home, his savings, his mortgage, in order to buy the rights to Hopalong Cassidy. Not just the movie rights, he already had those. The IP, the characters, the publishing, the back catalog of the original movies, all of it. Not just from the producers of the previous movies in the earlier studios, but the original author, Clarence Mulford. He became the owner of the entire Hoppy intellectual property. The whole damn thing. He bought the rights to say, I don't just play Hopalong Cassidy, I'm the only guy who plays Hopalong Cassidy. I literally am Hopalong Cassidy. That's like if Adam West had bought Batman conceptually so he could actually be the Batman. I mean, not to be vulgar about this, but the balls on this guy. The balls.
No matter the cost.
You have to respect it. You simply have to respect it. Yeah, so then Boyd goes to NBC, which back then was nothing. They were nobody, a brand new operation, and goes, hey, I heard you need some stuff to put on the air on your TV station. How about you run a couple of these movies I own? And NBC goes, Hopalong Cassidy? Oh yeah, I remember Hopalong Cassidy. Yeah, let's give that a shot. You know, sure, what do we got to lose?
Reach the
Here he comes, here he comes. There's the trumpets, there's the drums, here he comes. Hopalong Cassidy, here he comes.
And it was a hit. A big hit. Like, even at the time when showing movies people had heard of on network TV was still a somewhat unknown quantity that still had some kinks to be worked out, and they were figuring out how to track ratings in a reliable way, they were able to look at this and go, oh wow, like a lot of people watched that, and then called and wrote in saying, hey, please show that again, and or show more things like that. And I mean, duh, right? These had been some of the most popular entries in the most popular American movie genre for over a decade, and they were practically made for the way TV turned out to work. Action-heavy, propulsive plots, simple, easy-to-follow stories with strong characters, not too graphic, adults got nostalgic characters that they recognized, kids got cool guys riding horses and shooting guns, so obviously the network went back to William Boyd like, so yeah, that worked. You got any more? And he got to go, fellas, I got 66 whole movies. How about we recut them into TV shows? And then NBC was like, yeah, that'll work. Hey, if we need more, would you make more? And Boyd went, you bet I'll make more. And then the network said, hey, great. Clearly you seem to like, money. We'd like to talk to you about this other new invention. It's called merchandising. And that's how Hopalong Cassidy became the first licensed character ever to be on a lunchbox. Really, he was the first. If you ever had a lunchbox with like your favorite thing on it as a kid, sometime between the early 50s and now, this guy started that too. But in the meantime, NBC and Boyd did indeed recut the original 66 Hoppy movies into a TV series, and then immediately jumped into production of about 40 new half-hour episodes between 1950 and 1952, with Boyd once again playing Hoppy to absolutely massive success, hence the lunchbox. And hence literally every other TV production station in existence looking at the numbers, calling their underlings, and issuing basically the same command. All that B-Western infrastructure out in Hollywood we were kind of sort of winding down, guys, we need to wind it back up. We made a mistake. Turn the cowboy factories back on.
My brethren, listen to me. Listen to me and hear me say again and again, repent. Repent and make your future bright with happiness.
Audiences, especially a generation of TV-watching baby boomer kids, could not get enough Wild West action, and in the wake of Boyd's big bet on Hopalong Cassidy would come, in no particular order, The Lone Ranger, Roy Rogers, Rawhide, Clint Eastwood's cowboy debut, Zorro, Bonanza, Bat Masterson, Cheyenne, The High Chaparral, Wanted Dead or Alive, Steve McQueen was in that one, Boomtown, Branded, Have Gun Will Travel, Laramie, Kit Carson, The Virginian, Gene Autry, Lawman, Annie Oakley, The Range Rider, Colt 45, Sugarfoot, Tales of the Texas Rangers, Big Valley, The Life and Legend of Wyatt Earp, Gunsmoke, that's the longest running TV show ever until The Simpsons, Davy Crockett, Daniel Boone, The Rifleman, which also had the manliest intro credits maybe of all time.
Rifleman. Starring Chuck Connors.
Sure, it's phallic. Why wouldn't it be?
Look, there was a lot of these shows. By 1959, just to pick a year, Westerns were so omnipresent on TV, there were 30 cowboy shows airing in prime time during one season, and none of them were canceled. That's just a lot of horse stuff, and a lot of merchandise, and a lot of tie-in spin-off comic books, and regular books, and toys, and little hats, and BB guns, and oh yeah, the movies got more popular again. In fact, rather than the gradual transition into prestige genre calcification as had been expected, the late 40s into the 1960s became Hollywood Western's golden age. With a new generation revitalizing the tropes and standards of the form on TV, higher budget masters of the form had space to fill more expansive canvases with bigger, richer stories, and brand new swaths of genre stars and working actors scrambling upward, along with a whole new generation of young fans freshly raised on the likes of The Masked Man, The King of the Wild Frontier, and of course, Bill Cassidy, ready and eager to be introduced to more complex visions of The Searchers or High Noon, and the clash of contrast between those two ends of the genre, complex human drama and rousing crowd-pleasing action, being equally beloved by a generation that came to it absent really any historically logical reason to do so, would metamorphose and extend itself into the revisionist Western, the spaghetti Western, the acid Western, all because someone said, this whole thing's obsolete. And the guy who played Hopalong Cassidy said, I bet it's not.
Put your hands up. No.
What?
I said no.
Why not?
I don't want to.
But I've got a gun.
I don't care.
Doesn't make any sense.
Too bad.
One guy, not even being particularly bullheaded or intractable about it, by all accounts just very determined, changed the entire course of media history. And he did it because he found the thing he was meant to do and decided he didn't want to do a single other thing for the rest of his life. I say again, the balls on this guy. To not just say, I found the thing that makes me happy and I'm gonna figure out how to keep doing it, but to risk so much in order to make sure he got to keep doing it, and then succeeding at that so overwhelmingly that the entire shape of the world had to change to accommodate the new reality as he decided to reshape it.
Why don't you show the boys what you can do without a gun?
Might be a good idea.
Roadhouse.
What it comes down to for me is Boyd was a worker who believed in his own work. And where it really lines up for me in a relevant modern context is when I think of all my friends and colleagues and loved ones in, well, really all levels of business, but especially in the creative industries, who are having to face the prospect of being told their roles can or should be downsized or refitted or eliminated entirely because AI is going to make them obsolete. And look, as an artist and someone who tries to have a nuanced and non-panicky view of technology, I try to keep an open mind about the way new tech innovations can benefit humanity. But I also believe there's no better vision of a future than one where people can live, succeed, achieve, and thrive by also doing what they love, and nothing that tries to take that away can be truly innovative. William Boyd loved making his cowboy movies, and when they told him this kind of movie isn't going to be a thing anymore, it's getting less popular, the market's not there, it's not worth doing, etc., he didn't only say, I don't care if it's not worth doing, I'm going to do it anyway. He changed the entire media landscape to the point where it was worth doing so he could keep doing it.
Even if everyone is telling you that something wrong is something right, even if the whole world is telling you to move, it is your duty to plant yourself like a tree, look them in the eye and say no. You move.
So, how much did you like the best job you ever had? Not your favorite hobby, the best thing you ever did for a living. Did you ever have a job that you were excited to go to and that you missed when it wasn't your job anymore? If you could, would you spend your own money to have it be your job again? Would you move heaven and earth to will that job into staying around, even if someone said it wasn't supposed to, that it was obsolete, so you could keep doing it because you found the thing you liked doing? This guy did that. And untold thousands of other people benefited. It's not just undisputable that most of the TV westerns and mid-budget theatrical westerns that were made in the wake of Hopalong Cassidy blowing out the TV market for the genre just never would have happened. Their fans never would have found them. Clint Eastwood and Steve McQueen might never have launched their careers, and for good or ill, whatever else, the youth media psyche of the boomers would have been radically different. That part of the Hopalong Cassidy story is what doesn't just interest me, but inspires me. Not just as a creator facing down middle age and the ever more constant question of whether there's still time to turn this all around and have the success I've always pursued, but as a human being in an age where corporate greed and seething hordes of mindless drones that bow down to it are evidently all too willing to throw artists, thinkers, and creators under the bus as obsolete in favor of AI. All around me, everywhere in the world of digital video, I see companies and people who follow companies joyfully telling artists that real creators aren't going to be needed anymore, that generative prompted slop is going to replace real media made by real artists, and there's nothing anyone can do about it because that's just where things are going. The same way westerns are going to be niche. This is done. You just have to pack it in. There's no stopping it, was the way things were going back then. And then one person said no. We can say no.
Well, nobody lives forever, and that includes you, Cassidy.
Just saved the county the expense of hanging coats.
William Boyd effectively retired from acting shortly after completing the final Hopalong Cassidy TV productions in 1954, by then almost 60. His old director Cecil B. DeMille, who was always nothing if not loyal to his original colleagues later in life, actually offered him the role of Moses in The Ten Commandments. He'd previously also shot a brief uncredited cameo as Hoppy in The Greatest Show on Earth. But Boyd turned it down. He figured that people wouldn't take the movie seriously if Moses had looked like Hopalong Cassidy. Well, for a time he was ubiquitous when it came to publicity, magazine covers, public appearances, and indeed earned millions from his gambit on the Cassidy television venture. He was also image conscious, eventually refusing to be photographed later in life because he didn't want fans to have their memories of Hoppy diminished by his aged appearance. Unfortunately, he was also diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. He passed away from complications related to that and congestive heart failure in 1972. He was 77 years old.
Red and Hoppy never told me they was going away.
On the inside cover of Don McLean's 1971 album American Pie, a boomer nostalgia anthem if there ever was one, is a photo of William Boyd, accompanied by a poem by McLean titled So Long Hopalong Cassidy, which reads as follows. So long Hopalong Cassidy. No matter how scary life got, I could depend on you. You had that easy smile and white wavy hair. You were my favorite father figure with two guns blazing. Not even Victor Jory could stand up to those 4440s you packed. And that white stallion you rode, I think his name was Topper. He was so beautiful and white, he even came when you whistled. I always liked black, and I loved your clothes. Black hat, black pants and shirt. Silver spurs, and two guns in black holsters with pearly white handles. Black and white, that was you, Hoppy. The bad men fell and the good guys lived on. The ladies touched your hand but never kissed. Whenever John Carradine asked a question, you'd say, that comes under the heading of my business. Then you'd call for another sarsaparilla. I believed in you so much I'd take my Stetson off and put it over my heart whenever anyone died. My hat's off to you, Hoppy. Say goodbye to all the boys at the Bar 20. The black and white days are over. So long, Hopalong Cassidy. McLean's poem is also inscribed on a plaque at the hospital where Boyd passed away. The Hopalong Cassidy movies are relics. They were already old-fashioned when they were making them. Period westerns starring a middle-aged former silent matinee idol built around dusty cowboy fisticuffs ramping up and playing out while the advancements of the Second World War transformed the world over the course of a decade. The way that they eventually outlived and extended the lifespan of their entire genre through the media savvy of a determined star changed Hollywood history, but that doesn't necessarily mean that watching them will change your life. They probably will not. They weren't designed to do that at any point, by any stretch of the imagination. This is the definition of historically important art, where the meaning of a thing is greater than the sum of its component parts. These films are, by and large, fun. They hold up a bit better after a fashion than the plurality of similar material of the time. Boyd really is just about the most compelling sort of lead you could ask for in material like this, and you can see the DNA of 1,000 successive serialized coolest guy ever shows up and solves the problem of the weak protagonist emanating out from him, the source code of everyone from Jack Reacher to Walker Texas Ranger to every version of The Equalizer.
And if we don't leave? You'll leave, all right. Riding, walking, or feet first?
I promised someone that I love very much that I would never go back to being that person. But for you, I'm going to make an exception.
Movie trends come and go. Genres go into and out of relevance. It's 2025 as I'm writing this, and you can feel the roiling undercurrent in the way every box office and Hollywood business news item is reported, that millennials and Gen Xers are really feeling the onset of middle age every time there's an incidental algorithmic data point that says the iPad kids are marginally more interested in a movie based on a viral meme or a video game than a 20-year-old superhero saga. Oh man, this is really it, isn't it? It's happened. I'm my dad looking at me being all into He-Man and Super Mario and wondering why kids don't care about John Wayne and Daniel Boone anymore.
Are we safe?
I don't know.
And now here I am at 44 doing a whole show about how he and Granddad were right about Hopalong Cassidy, and maybe 30 or 40 years from now, a version of whatever they call what I do here will be making, I don't know, holograms or whatever about, hey, you know what, those old Avengers movies were all right after all.
I was in high school when the Avengers came. Kinda strange that it's all over now. No one's coming to save the day.
I think we are. We can be the ones that are coming.
And that's kind of the point, though. 66 movies and then 40 episodes of TV is a lot of time to put polish on a character who was already pretty shiny, and Hoppy shines very brightly. So it doesn't take watching all or even most of them to understand why, with the generous extra push from Boyd himself to keep the character visible in the first place, this was the franchise that kept the classical Western genre not only alive but thriving in the pop culture zeitgeist, to be rediscovered and turbocharged by the boomers and catapulted into the mid-20th century all the way to the present.
Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go! I'm following the stars through the tumbleweeds and clover. I'm following the stars, and my hero follows me.
These movies essentially revitalized an entire genre, probably even saved it. These movies changed the course of history. These movies are why a whole generation, at least in certain respects, are like they are, because these movies exist.
That's what it says in the book.